Good morning, I'm Brinley Rada, and welcome to our service. So in the sanctuary today, our production crew is John Nichols and Dave Paulson on switch, and Steve Pulliam is behind the camera today.
And we are grateful for all of them. Happy Labor Day weekend to all of you. I hope you will take some time this weekend to appreciate your labors of love or the labors of love of others or both. Maybe take a little time for rest and recreation. And celebrating all that you do and all that you are, and also remember to stay cool.
Yeah. So I'm pleased to welcome back our featured artist this week is Love Eternal. We'll begin our service at the home of our music directors, Lisa and Tyler Snortum-Phelps, with a song that lifts all of our hearts, Standing in the Need of Prayer.
Good morning, everybody. We have set up our little room to be a music room. We're pretty excited to be in here now. What do you think of it? It's a reminder that we all need prayer.
Thank you, Lisa and Tyler. So let's all get settled with a prayer in our heart as we ground in unity. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. Our vision for the world is we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. Our vision is who we've come here to be. So let's say this together. We are a loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. Our core values are love, connection, service, and wisdom. And if you're with us for the first time, welcome. You are invited to fill out a connection card. Connection cards can be found on our Watch Live page for everyone. You may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback and request information.
Our classes and events are held online, so you can access them via Zoom, by phone, or by computer. Here's a few important announcements and exciting opportunities that we have for you. This week is Unity's World Day of Prayer. I actually lost track of how many years this annual event has been going on, but it's a beautiful time to gather together. And traditionally here at Unity of Walnut Creek, we do that on Thursday night, September 10th at 7 o'clock. So you can join us for an inspiring evening of prayer for our world and for your individual lives. You can do that via Zoom or by clicking the Watch Live page, just how you are watching right now through YouTube. And this year's theme is Standing in Truth. I move from fear to faith. So we're going to move throughout our service through the stages of faith, leaving you with faith and confidence. And if you want to join Unity's wider World Day of Prayer event, on Wednesday that begins with opening ceremonies, and there's a prayer vigil 24 hours that you can enter into virtually. So that's pretty fun to be a part of that one too. And if you want to check that out, you can do so at worlddayofprayer.org. So we look forward to seeing you Thursday night.
Unity's Board of Trustees invite you to our community gathering via Zoom on Sunday, September 13th at 1:30 p.m. Our board officers will update you on finances, the 2021 budget, facility repairs, results from the reopening survey, and what to expect for our annual meeting and voting this year. Your board wants to explore what's next and hear what's on your heart. So please come share your feedback and any questions you might have.
We're actually seeking new members of the board, as you might imagine. It's that time of year, so if you feel that little pitter-patter of your heart, it may be your time, and if so, we have a board nomination application available for you on the homepage of our website. We're asking that you complete that by Sunday, September 27th.
Delve into your unexplored spiritual depths by examining insights in Eric Butterworth's classic book, Discover the Power Within You. In this 6-week class, you'll discuss how to pray, find confidence, healing, and more. It starts Monday, September 14th at 7 p.m. Pre-registration is required, so please see our website for more information.
And that class, by the way, is co-taught by Reverends Rich Carlini and Bob Hardy. We're excited to announce that Reverend Sandra Campbell, who was our speaker last week, is going to be having a courageous conversation with us this afternoon at 3 o'clock. And that's today, so you need to get ready for it and register today as well. Sandra has prepared a special message for us about this topic, courageous conversations. Let's take a look.
Many years ago, I had the honor of sitting at the feet of Maya Angelou when she spoke at Unity Temple on the Plaza. She said so many powerful things, and I remember a few of those. One of her famous quotes that has stayed in my mind and has meant so much to me is, when you learn, teach; when you get, give; when you know better, you do better. That's exactly what Courageous Conversations is about. As we learn and to listen to each other's stories and understand what it must be like to walk in their shoes. When we teach each other our own experiences through our stories, we empower ourselves and other people to do better. And we know in these challenging times here in our country and around the world, we can do better. And so I invite you to join us for another courageous conversation. Open your mind and your heart. Be willing to listen from your heart space, even if it's uncomfortable. Because as we say at Unity Temple on the Plaza, where our courageous conversation began, the only way to create real change is to be willing to be uncomfortable. And through that space of vulnerability, we empower not only ourselves, but each other to change things for the better, to create a world that works for all living beings.
Well, we give thanks for Reverend Sandra for coming back to be with us virtually this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to it and to seeing some of you there. You do need to register, and we need you to register by 1 p.m. sharp. So please do register, and we'll see you this afternoon and create a world that works for all together.
Please see our website for a full listing and log-in information for all of our events. And if you're not receiving our weekly e-news, use the connection card link on the Watch Live page to sign up and stay informed.
Following our service today, we invite you to log on to our virtual patio conversation. Just like we would have a patio conversation right here after service, it's a chance to connect with your friends, have some social time, maybe talk a little bit about something that's on your heart or mind. We also have prayer chaplains available at that time, and you can pray with them in a private room on Zoom. And don't forget that our very popular Spiritual Growth Circle is back in action. There was a hiatus in August, but they're back in action in September. So on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, you can take the Sunday message deeper and expand it with some other teachings. Mostly it's about having really rich conversation with open-minded and open-hearted community members. And several different facilitators now in the new rotation. So look forward to Tuesday night at 7.
Now, as we prepare for our time of meditation, let's ground with our statement of faith. Invite you to take a deep breath together, settling into our hearts. And another deep breath. Please join me. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God.
And so now as we continue in our preparation of meditation, we'll begin with a reading, and that will be followed by music by Love Eternal, guided meditation, and silence. Today's reading is adapted from Sunday Prayers by the Episcopalian priest Nadia Bowles-Weber, and it goes like this. God of many names, we don't always know how to vanquish our own fears or how to feel less tired. We don't exactly know how to live through a global pandemic and anti-Black violence and wildfires and hurricanes and heat waves. We don't always know how to sustain that effort it takes to not completely freak out. And the effort it takes to keep from freaking out is one of the things that is making us so tired. So we need some reminders right now. Remind us that for every tragedy that's newsworthy, there are a million kindnesses and countless acts of love that go unnoticed. And more than anything, remind us of our own souls. Remind us that there is an essential, holy, unhurtable part of ourselves that never tires, that does not know fear, that is unaffected by other people, that cannot be irritated, that has nothing to achieve. If taking a few deep breaths reminds us of our truest center, then nudge us to breathe. And so it is.
We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother.
We are healing ourselves. Healing one another and healing our mother, planet Earth. Even by our intention, there is healing taking place. The constant movement of healing energy of the divine is like the waves of the ocean. When the waves recede from the shore, whatever needs to be revealed is revealed. When the wave comes into the shore, whatever needs to be healed is healed. We allow ourselves to be synced with that rhythm, the constant lapping upon the earth, revealing and healing, the constant movement in our hearts, revealing whatever needs to be revealed within us, and healing whatever needs to be healed. And between us two is a rhythmic wave of the divine, reaching out and allowing. A symbiotic dance played out in our relations with all life, with one another. And so we rest a moment in this silent space, bearing witness, feeling the energy that moves through us. Just as our heart pumps in and out, our breath moves in and out. So too do the waves of healing energy. Move between us and within us, and among us. So let us rest now in the silence, in the depth of this beautiful healing energy, and be still. Out of the stillness comes the wave again of healing, washing over us. I'm healed in body, and mind, and spirit. All of my relations are healed, both immediate, interpersonal, across this beautiful planet. I feel the healing of the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom. I feel a healing between all peoples and tribes, races, ethnicities, cultures, countries. I feel the healing wave of the divine upon Mother Earth, restoring her forests and oceans, lands and skies. And it is with deep gratitude that I bow to the opportunity to be a vessel for healing right now. And so it is.
We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. Namaste. Aloha.
God, grant me the acceptance, the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I bet you've heard that prayer before. It's known as the Serenity Prayer, and it was made really popular by 12-step programs beginning as far back as 1941. It actually was written by an American theologian. His name is Reinhold Niebuhr. And we believe from everything I've read online that it was written about 1933. His version was slightly different, but it's basically the same idea in these three couplets, or these three verses that weave together. So today we're beginning a new series. It's Prayers of Perseverance. Seemed like a time for perseverance. I don't know about you, but we are enduring through this global pandemic and everything else that is going on in our world. So prayer is a wonderful way to support us through. And when we pray together as a community the same prayer, as you might have attuned to when we pray the prayer of protection or we sing the peace song, it's so known in our community that you can feel the energy that has been put into it for so many years. So similarly, each of these weeks, the next 4 Sundays, we're going to have a prayer that we all work with throughout the week. And this week is the Serenity Prayer, of course. Prayer is an intention setter. And so when we intend something, when we set our intention, it's like we carve out a pathway for ourselves and we align ourselves with the divine and the trajectory of that energy that we have just claimed. That what we are saying, it is that we want to draw to ourselves serenity, courage, wisdom in this case. This last week, I was backpacking in Yosemite, which was just a beautiful privilege, of course, to be in this wonderful playground that we have about 3 hours from us, and in that, just steeped in that beauty. And so before I went, I set an intention, as I always do before I do something like that. And my intention was to just be in the divine essence within myself. Actually happened to be my white stone this year too, was essence. And then also to clear my mind. So those two pieces, which seem very much connected to me. And it was amazing what manifested. So my niece and I, Nicole, were on this backpack for 3 nights, and everything seemed to come to us just when we needed it most. So, for example, we had been walking a long way the first day, or what felt like a long way to us. It's all relative to whoever's carrying a pack and backpacking. But the pack was feeling heavy. The day was starting to feel long, even though it was amazing. And there was a little anxiety because we weren't quite sure where the next water source was and how much further we were going to need to walk that day in order to camp, ideally near some water. Our maps weren't super good that first day. So we hadn't seen a soul either the whole time. We even got out the compass along the way to make sure we were going in the right direction. But all of a sudden, I think when we needed it most, we needed a little lift, along comes this couple nearly bouncing down the trail with exuberance. And they just share openly with us how they just had a swim at Lake McGee about 2.5 miles down the trail. And it was such a relief to know about this beautiful lake. And then we started talking about how we wanted to camp. And the man was telling us, yeah, go to this part. There's some really nice flat spots, and it'll be wonderful. Oh, and by the way, about 1 mile down, before you get to this lake, you're going to come to a beautiful overlook. Well, I don't know about you, but if you've been sometimes on some kind of journey and you get a little carrot, it's really helpful. And it was just so reassuring. It felt like divine intervention at just the right time. And of course, instead of stopping at the really stagnant small pool of water that we saw along the way that we actually considered filtering, and I kind of worried about mosquitoes or whatever else might have been in that water, we could bypass that and go to this beautiful, vast mountain lake and camp right there. And even when we got there, it was like everything was set for us, like the table had been set. Somebody had obviously camped there. And if you ever backpack or even camp, having a level place for your cook stove is really helpful. And so somebody had set up this beautiful rock, like a little table. It was like we had kitchen countertops. We had a nice log to sit on and a place to put our tent to look at the water. So it was like, thank you, God. The next day, we had another experience like this. Nicole's knee started hurting her. And so when we got back to the camp, I pulled out the ace bandage that we had in our first aid kit. And neither of us really knew how it would be best to wrap it, but she wrapped her whole knee and had it, sitting still. And along comes this young man, obviously interested in her, but too shy to talk to her, so he was talking to me, who he presumed was her mother, by the way. Anyway, so he's chatting with us. He found an excuse to come over about 3 times. And about that 3rd time was the charm when he happened to say that he was a physical therapist. And he had an idea of what was going on with her knee, and he showed her how to wrap it better, and he showed her some exercises. We also happened to be camping right next to an ice-cold waterfall, so she could kind of ice it very naturally, do the exercises, wrap it properly, and we were ready to go, and she had no pain after that. That is divine intervention. It's those moments when we are in the flow and the right thing comes at the right time. And what does it take for us? And our attitude is an attitude of trust, which is what the serenity prayer invites us into. A believing, an ability to have that kind of serenity that accepts, that allows. Sometimes we can't make change. We're going to be pushing upriver for that particular thing that it is that's on our mind or heart. And so it's a willingness, an openness to accept, to allow. So acceptance brings serenity, and of course we can summon the courage to make change, another key essential to happiness and fulfillment that this prayer offers us. And finally, it offers us this promise, like if we walk through life with these 2 things in our hands, this acceptance and this sense of action, and over time we learn the wisdom that says when to accept and when to act. Upon what to act, and for what shall we accept. And that takes that honing of wisdom over time. So if we just keep at it, we keep at the prayer, we keep asking, we keep offering, giving over to the universe, bring me the wisdom to know the difference between the 2. So what I'd like to do today is just unpack these three aspects of this prayer that are so key, and to walk through each of the phases. Accepting things as they can is where we start. And boy, I don't know about you, but this is probably the most difficult one for me, especially when I feel really strongly that something needs to be changed, that something could be better. And it's that sense of knowing, maybe for some of us, it's that sense of we want to achieve, and yet it might feel like underachieving or just settling or, just kind of giving up in a way if we don't take action. Yet having that wisdom to know that sometimes the action is not the right time or even the right act. And if we let it sit, if we accept what is as it is in the moment, whatever it is that we are being guided to accept, whatever wisdom we're procuring to know that this is a moment, this is a thing that we just need to accept right now. And to allow ourselves to feel the serenity in that. God's got it, basically. If we can know that, if we can give it over, let go, let God, that's the key to this one. As a friend of mine, Craig, used to say, we often pray for guidance, but what we're really begging for or expecting or asking is for revelation. But, the divine is more intelligent than that. And so instead what we get is just the piece that we need to see right now, which is what helps us then accept what is right now. It doesn't mean it's forever. It's just in this moment. That's not where our attention and energy and action needs to be placed. So it's a hard one, maybe, realization. It's working for the long run instead of the short term. It's relaxing into that long-term seeing that there is a greater power at work. There is a divine order unfolding and a divine timing. A time for everything, as Ecclesiastes tells us about every season. A time for every season. A time for trusting, essentially, that rhythm. Beauty is another great way that we bring forth serenity into our lives, that we bathe ourselves in a kind of serenity. And I certainly have been steeped in that in Yosemite. So I wanted to share just a little piece of that with you with this small video that I took of a waterfall that we were hiking near and camping nearby. So maybe you could have felt just a moment of the kind of peace that comes with the sound of the wind and the sound of the water and that kind of beauty all around. So what is your beautiful place? Because we tend to carry these things with us once we've experienced them. We always have that image or that memory to go back to and to allow ourselves, even maybe looking at a picture or just closing our eyes and going to that place, to feel the serenity that comes. I actually invite you to do that with me for a moment. Close your eyes and go to that happy place, one of those places that just brings you a sense of deep serenity. And take a few moments just to breathe into that space, to open your senses to it. At any time, we can go back there. At any time, mostly what we are doing is experiencing the feeling, right? The serenity that comes with the beauty and the peace. And of course, even if an image isn't present for you, there is always that presence and power inside of us that we can drop into and just take a few breaths. So if any point during your day or your week that you just need a moment, even if you don't want to speak the whole serenity prayer, you can just take a moment to breathe, maybe 3 times, and allow yourself to be steeped in this idea of serenity. And when it's interesting when we go to these places, it might seem paradoxical, but it actually, it's like opens up the way for us to be more effective. So, because it is when we relax and sort of loosen up our minds, we get a new perspective. And when we open up and have a new perspective, Spirit has a little more room to move through us, to bring forth whatever it is that we need to see or to know or to experience. So that we're in that dance when we're willing to relax a little bit more and open our view. We actually accomplish more, and we get in that place of divine right action. It sets us up for action that is really much more focused and much more effective. So with serene acceptance, that hard driving energy is left behind, and the floodgates of divine flow can move through us. The French painter Demure often was criticized by his contemporaries because he had so much talent, and he confined himself to this really simple work that would sell. And so they were always edging him to use his talent more fully, to do something more original. He had this sort of potboiler approach. And he said, well, one has to be of one's times. And his colleague said, but what if one's times are wrong? It takes courage, to step up and to do something that is original. It takes courage to buck the mainstream, if you will, the status quo. Isn't it wonderful, though, that we are living in times where our mainstream and our status quo is nothing but ho-hum? To live in one's times right now really is to be on the edge in some ways. It's to be creative and collaborative, and there's lots of rich opportunity for us now. There's, not to say that the opportunity wasn't always there, but this collision, if you will, of events that is available to us in our society has brought forth something in us. It is awakening something in us, and these are times of awakening. These are times of creativity. These are times to open ourselves in new ways and allow that authenticity to come forth. So we can be very much of our times and be creating something really rich and wonderful and meaningful and new that will help emerge a whole new way of being, I think, for our society, for our lives and world. So if anything is off in the world, if anything feels off in your life, we can change or correct that ourselves by just inquiring within. It might feel like some of those things, I just don't have the power to affect change there, or it feels too big, or it feels too overwhelming. But instead of giving up, we can just ask ourselves, well, what is in my power to change? Usually it's us, right? Usually there's something within us that we can have the power, of course, to affect change. But there's also, by doing so, some effect around us and in the world. So being in that inquiry can be really helpful to move us into this courage, to do what is in front of us to do, because God places that, the divine places that in our path, because it is ours to look at, ours to consider, ours perhaps to do, to pick up that ball and to carry it out into the world in some way. And to consider taking action toward bettering something maybe that keeps us up at night. I remember Marianne Williamson saying that so many years ago. I was in my early 20s listening to her give a lecture in Chicago. And she talked about whatever it is that gets you down, whatever it is that depresses you, that's Spirit giving you the nudge that that's an area to go into, to move into, to make a difference and to take action. So it's that courage that is summoned by this prayer to allow us to follow through with whatever it is that's weighing on us. the beauty of this serenity prayer is that each verse sort of nestles into one another like a Russian doll. You can kind of unpack each one, whether you put wisdom in the small doll in the middle or the outer doll and go from within out, or either way. Each way it has a sense of holism to it with each of these aspects. And so simple, really, with even a little humor at the end about the wisdom to know the difference. So it has that uplift at the end with a little bit of humor. So it's really just a perfect little prayer in many ways. And I appreciate, actually, I'm going to shout out to Love Eternal. This prayer sort of had wafted through my mind as one to start with. And then when we were speaking, Jared was telling me about how important this prayer was to him. I hadn't even mentioned it. So again, divine intervention, I was like, oh, okay, I think that's a message to unpack this particular prayer to begin our series. So that serene acceptance, it nestles into courage. It allows us to stay balanced, when we are in that place of acceptance and serenity, so that when we are acting in courageous ways, when we are acting in ways that may be challenging for us, we have that to fall back on. We've already passed through that kind of sense of serenity, so we can pull it forth, just like we did with the visualization a few moments ago. We can drop into it and go, oh, okay, there it is. There's the peace. I can move forward now, knowing and trusting that everything's going to be okay. So God, grant me the courage to change the things I can. And let's take a step in that direction now, one step in that direction, and allow Love Eternal to take us there with this song.
This song is called One Step and has a little story behind it. Many years ago, when the kids were little, we were running a band in a community, and I was feeling just one of those times of juggling, really stressed out. We were getting ready for a show, and our babysitter had canceled, and it was just this, one of those moments in my life where I just felt like everything was crumbling. And I got this clear message that to focus on my intention. What was my intention for what I was trying to do? And the idea was to bless and to be blessed. That's what we're doing with our music. We're trying to bless others with the music. We're trying to be blessed in return. With the children, I'm trying to bless them and be blessed in return. Mm-hmm. And the words say, one step in front of the next. My only intent is to bless and be blessed. If I bring that pure intent, God will bring the rest. Mm-hmm. And I really started noticing, so there was even a while where we would start a set with this song, really setting our intention for what it is that we're trying to do, and knowing that if we walk with that pure intention and we focus on that God will bring the rest. And to me, that's such an important part of faith. Why are you trying to do the thing that you're trying to do? Because if you're in alignment with it, then God's in alignment with it, and everything works together for good.
Yeah, one step at a time.
One step at a time. Yep, so this is a song for you called One Step. Bless and be my actions and truth guide my soul. My soul will last forever, but this body won't last long. Till I put one foot in front of the next. Most I guide I and I through these texts. As I praise you, as I thank you, as I love you, as I trust you. This one's for you, Jack. This one's for you. This one's for you, Jack. This one's for you. One step in front of the next. My only intent is to bless and be blessed. But one step in front of the next. My only intent is to bless and be. And I bring pure intent, and Jah bring the rest. And I bring pure intent, and Jah bring the rest. Faith guide my actions and truth guide my soul. So faith guide my actions and truth guide my soul. One step in front of the next. My only intent is to bless and be blessed. Come on, bless and be blessed. Bless and be blessed. Come on, bless and be blessed. Bless and be blessed. Bless and be blessed. Bless and be blessed. Come on, bless and be blessed. Shall bring the rest. Thank y'all. Stick with that pure intent and let God work the miracles.
Yeah,
Does
may you
every
be blessed
time.
and be blessed.
Yes. Aloha.
Aloha.
Oh, well, thanks to Love Eternal for reminding us that setting our intent and then letting go is the prayer process. So we pray for the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and in this last part, this last essential step, the wisdom to know the difference. Our ability to be effective with changes that we want to make relies on our relationship with Spirit, our relationship with this internal guidance system. We might call it, in spiritual terms, GPS, standing for God's positioning system. So that positioning system puts us in the right place at the right time, and if we're tuned in, we'll know that, right? That we are in the right place at the right time, and we'll trust that the right actions will move through us. And, you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I make a wrong turn and I get rerouted. You ever do that? In the actual car with the global positioning system, the GPS, that system. But it's the same, isn't it, in our spiritual walk, in our lives. Sometimes we might make a wrong turn or a turn that wasn't necessarily in our fullest and highest alignment with the divine. But then, guess what? The system just reroutes. And maybe, I always think sometimes if it happens in the car that maybe we were rerouted around an accident or something else. So maybe that rerouting was exactly the path we were supposed to take. Again, it comes down to this sense of trust. So do you know how to use that GPS, that internal GPS system for yourself? It's important to keep honing and practicing how we tune into that and utilize it for our best and highest good. For me, I really, tune into my body and mostly around the solar plexus area. I can feel a sense of like awe or openness, and that it feels to me like, yes, go forward. Or a tightness that might, constriction that might be fear and it might be no. So you got to kind of explore there and see. For you, there might be a slightly different way, or maybe a completely different way, that you tune into your own guidance system. Whatever it is, I encourage you to practice. Practice on mundane things, like throughout your day. Just saying, what do I want to eat? Instead of looking in the refrigerator and standing there, ask your body, Tune in. What does my body want right now? What would be the most, best fuel for me right now? What would taste really good to me right now? Those kinds of that trusting of, holding something and asking your body, for example. Those kinds of simple things. I mean, we eat 3 times a day, so why not use that as one of our ways of tuning into our guidance system? But whatever it is that you do to hone it, just keep practicing, keep practicing. An old Unity, he's not old, but way back when I took some Unity courses at Unity of Chicago, this teacher talked about how his guidance system worked like a traffic light. And he would get a red light for stop, a green light for go, obviously, but a yellow light for slow. So that slow brings us back into that serenity and acceptance, to allow ourselves to move in divine timing, in divine order. It's all part of this package of gaining greater wisdom. And there's wisdom that calls us, it seems like at all times. The divine wisdom within us is always speaking to us in some way, nudging us in some way, calling to us in some way. The thing is, we're not always listening, right? So it's about being in that dance together, in that conversation together, of listening and then following. According to Proverbs, wisdom, who has this voice of the feminine, is always calling. In Proverbs 1, it reads like this: wisdom cries out in the street, in the squares. She raises her voice. At the busiest corners, she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates, she speaks. Give heed to my reproof, she says. I will pour out my thoughts to you. I will make my words known to you. Those who listen to me will be secure and will live at ease. Sounds like a lovely promise of wisdom, of answering the call of wisdom. So let's heed that call. Let's listen. Let's live that life of ease that is promised to us. We know that when we accept, at least for now, whatever it is that we need to accept, and then we know when to enact change as we work the aspects of this prayer, trusting that knowing, relaxing into that knowing, allowing ourselves to move, is a triple gift of serenity, of courage, and of wisdom. So long ago, at the very beginning of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, our co-founders, began a whole community of people in a very similar way to today. Now, we have different technology, of course, so you can see me on camera. They didn't have, or they weren't utilizing that in that way at the time. But what they were doing was broadcasting a message to their greater community all across the United States, and eventually it would, of course, expanded beyond the United States, to come together and pray together in one consciousness, to pray the same prayers at the same time. I want to encourage us to practice that, especially during this week of World Day of Prayer, to begin to pray together the same prayer at the same time. I'm going to choose noon because we already have a noon meditation, and you can actually come on the Zoom call with us and participate in that way, and we'll speak the Serenity Prayer together every day this week and then next week's prayer throughout. And if you can't come on to the Zoom call or you wish to do it otherwise, just join with us in consciousness, like the old days in Unity, how this movement was built, and pray the Serenity Prayer at noon every day. Let's see what God's got in store for us. So as we close out, let's begin by saying the prayer together. Let's know this in our hearts and in our minds as one community. I can almost hear you in this room speaking it together. Together? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so it is. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen, for that. And I do look forward to working with this prayer this week with the community at noon every day. I'm in.
All
Yeah.
right, good.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Thank you. So, whether you have a joy or concern on your heart today, our prayer chaplains are available to provide prayer support with you during our virtual patio conversation after the service. You may also contact them by phone or email. Please complete a connection card on the Watch Live page or click on Prayer Request at the bottom of the home page. Our prayer team will be praying with you throughout the week.
Now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. Our spiritual home, of course, thrives from your gifts and your continued generosity, which we are continuously giving thanks for. You should listen in to some of our staff meetings and board meetings. We are so very grateful for all of you and your continued support during these times. I invite you to prepare your gifts now in your mind, in your heart, or literally in your hand, as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, so we receive. We know this to be true, that there is no lack or limitation, that abundance is our true nature.
In addition to sending checks through regular mail or direct deposit from your bank, there are 2 ways to give online. You may click on the Donate button on the Watch Live page or download the Give app. Give is spelled G-Y-V-E.
So let's take those gifts in our hands. Even if you're giving electronically, you can just imagine the weight of your gift. And by that I mean the preciousness of that gift, the value of that gift. And let's bless it together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. So it is. I think we have an off.
Aloha.
Hello, hello.
We're going to play a song for you right now called Celebrate Your Life. It's a celebration of life song. Woo!
You know.
It's one of the first songs we ever wrote together. That was 20 years ago. Hey. So we've had 20 years of celebrating life together, and we're glad to be celebrating life with you right now as well.
Oh, here we go. Celebrate your life.
I will celebrate mine too, yeah. It's good to celebrate this life with you. Celebrate your life.
I will celebrate mine too, yeah.
It's so good to celebrate this life with you. We hope you are celebrating your life wherever you may be.
Yes.
Celebrating your love wherever you may be.
Yes.
And we'll see you again real soon. Aloha.
Well, we do love eternal, don't we? And if you do, you're going to get a chance to hear a little bit more from them at the World Day of Prayer service this Thursday, along with some music from John Shin and Karen Drucker. So it's going to be lovely musically as well. And if you'd like to support Shauna and Jared, who are Love Eternal, you can go to loveeternal.org. We always like to support our musicians. You can connect with them on social media or purchase their music. And so now let's bless our offerings. And as we do bless these gifts, we bless you, the greatest gift of all, the giver, and the gift that you are to our community. And as the gift goes forth and multiplies, we know that it multiplies the good in your life. So let's bless our gifts as we bring them forth in our mind, in our hearts. Together, we give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is.
And let's bless our frontline workers, our activists, and our fearless firefighters. Frontline workers, activists, and firefighters, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you.
So this week's video, Michelle told me that she was flubbing her lines, so she turned it over to Maddie and Millie. So just the two of them providing this amazing video on divine humor. Let's take a look.
Hi Unity, it's Maddie and Millie, and we're going to tell you what we talked about at Unity last week. We talked about divine humor and laughter. And I'm going to tell you a joke from my joke book. How do birds learn to fly for the very first time? How? They wing it. Your turn to tell a joke, Millie. Okay. Knock, knock. Who's there? Cow. Cow who? Why did the cow pack up? Why? Because it was moving. Bye, Unity. We love you and we miss you. See you next week. Bye.
Oh my gosh. I am like crying, and I've seen it already. It's just, they're so precious. All right, let's bless our children and our teachers together. Together, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. Please join us now in saying our prayer of protection. And as we do, let's hold all of humanity and all of earth in mind. We might as well roll it all in, right? And let's speak this together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
Stick around until the end of the service. We have community member selfies you won't want to miss, and we need more. We would love to see you, so please send your selfies or your waving videos to office@unityofwalnutcreek.org. And now our peace song.
With God
You are serene, courageous, and wise.
So let your light shine.
Have fun and spread joy.
Bye.
I let the love wash over me. 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 I let the truth 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 wash over me. I let the grace 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 wash over me.
Bye.